Hi, my name is Julia M. Spencer. I'm a real estate advisor, investor, and your #1 source for real estate advice online. And in this video, we're going to talk about worthless lots that will not redeem. And this is basically my cautionary video of the day. Now, before I get into the topic of this video, I want to make sure that you know to subscribe at my website. It's at the bottom of this video. When you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get a free guide to real estate investing, and also subscribe right here on my YouTube channel so you can be notified whenever I have new videos coming up. So let's talk about worthless lots that will not redeem. Why is this an issue? So I've made videos about this before, but I think a lot of people don't watch my really early videos, and also they were kind of awkward and weird, and I wasn't really comfortable in front of the camera, but I'm actually changed and gotten a lot better, obviously. So I'm going to reiterate some of the old topics again because I want to make sure that you understood them from before if you have missed my old videos from a couple years ago. But one of the things that you have to really be careful about with tax lien investing is not to buy worthless lots. And trust me, I have done this, I have seen other people do this, and I am even coaching some of you students that have done exactly that. And nothing to be ashamed of or afraid of. Everybody makes that mistake, but basically I want to tell you a little bit about that and how to watch out for those things. So when you go to a tax lien sale, and this happens tax deed sales less so, but mostly tax lien sales, where the county or the city, the jurisdiction will sell lots that really are worthless, that you'll never make any money on, and it's their job to collect taxes on the property. So they're going to try to sell it, and they're not going to tell you whether or not it's worthless or not. They're going to assess some sort of value on it on the tax assessor's website, and you're fend for yourself with your due diligence to figure out if it's a lot that's worth anything or not, which is very unfortunate, because if you're a beginner and you're seeing this land for sale and it's very cheap, you're like, hey, you know, I can put all of my money in that. I'm going to make all this money because tax assessor says it's worth a lot. You know, I'm going to make money on it. But in the end, you buy worthless lots that might be worth however much the tax assessor says. But if you can't sell them or do anything with them, they're worthless. And let me just give you an example. So right now, I'm actually working with a student from Massachusetts, actually, but we're looking in other states too. So we looked at Arizona specifically, and the reason we chose Arizona first off, it's because Arizona has over-the-counter sales, so you can purchase properties pretty much any time of the year, and their lists are easily accessible. It's also really easy to work with the government officials in some counties, so it's a really good learning state and county to go to. The one I've chosen in this case was Yavapai County, and I'll talk about that in other videos too. But Arizona is kind of like a really good state to get into because it's straightforward. It's really good for learning. But we started looking at the list, and the most current list on their website has about 1,100 or 1,200 properties. I want to say maybe even 1,600. I can't remember exactly because we looked at two lists. But we looked, and everything's really nicely arranged. It looks very professional. There's a link to the property card, there's a link to the property record, so you don't have to do all the searching on your own. You just click on the links and all the information's right there. And so the very first property we look at, it's worth $18,000. It's for sale for a couple of hundred. So it looks like a huge profit, right? So my student basically asked me, hey, so what about this one? And it has, of course, the property card. If you've ever seen a property card, if you haven't seen one, I'm going to show you one right here. I looked at this property card, and the very first thing I noticed is no way in hell I'm going to buy that one. And my student's like, why? It's only a couple $100. It's worth $18,000 according to the tax assessors. How can you not buy that one? There's a huge profit that I see. And of course, my first answer to that is look at the picture. The property card had a picture, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Let's check out Yavapai County in Arizona, so I can show you what I'm talking about in this video. I went to the treasurer's office and we're going to go to the auction website. Here's the list of items for sale, and you can see that there was over 1,000. Let's look at some of these, because some of these are lots. And this is how you can find worthless lots and sort them out pretty quickly. Let's just look at any one of them. You can see how they have a red marker around the actual lot. The picture is the first thing I'll look at. This one, for example, it's in the middle of the desert. Looks like there's a street here or something. But even when you go in, you can see that the lot is just a small sliver. It goes on for a really long ways. Somebody in Fargo owns it, and there's not a whole lot you can do with this. In fact, this lot isn't even worth a lot. It's worth $75. And it's not really worth anything. There's nothing you can do with this. This is the kind of things you need to look at. If you don't have this picture on your property card, you have to find it in the GIS map, and I teach that in my coaching lessons as well. Let's close this one and let's look at another one. Let's just scroll down to any of this. Pick this one. This one right here, not really sure what we're looking at here, but it looks like 0.29 acres, but it has kind of like a weird shape. It's next to a road, and it looks like there's a drainage ditch here or something. And I'd be really surprised if you could level this and actually build something on it. That just looks like a piece of land that's not really worth anything that you can do anything with. Don't know for sure, of course, but again, you can see that the value of this isn't a whole lot. And it looks like you should call for permits. This number, and it's owned by somebody in that city in Prescott, which is where this is. It looks just like an area for a drainage ditch. Pretty much worthless. I wouldn't buy this. Let's look at another one. Let's look at something maybe like this one. Alright, here's another one that's just a sliver. It's behind somebody's house, or it looks like maybe even between two houses. Yeah, it's just a little piece of land between two houses. And not really sure who it belongs to. It might belong to one of these two guys, I don't know. But it could very well belong to one of these two owners of these two houses. And since they don't want to pay the taxes on it, they're just going to let it go, but because they know nobody can do anything with it anyways. Again, this one's not worth a whole lot. And somehow it was quitclaim deeded in 1989. So again, this one, as an investor, this isn't worth anything. This might be worth something for the owners, but they're probably very well aware that if anybody buys this, they're not going to do anything with it. Let's look at another one. Let's look at something in the desert. I know I saw some that I wanted to show you. I think this one does not exist. Let's look at this one. Here's another one that's got a really odd shape of some sort. Can't even really make this out. But most of this is in the middle of the street. I don't know who does these assessments. So there's not a whole lot you can do with this lot. This is just worthless property. And let's look at one more. Let's look at this one. We already looked at that. Let's look at something else. Look at this one. This one seems like it's worth a little bit more. Yeah, this looks maybe something half a parking lot. You gotta be really careful with these that look like they're in a parking lot, because I bet you that these owners with these other properties are gonna think that this is actually theirs. It's gonna be really hard for you to offset that. On top of that, it's 0.12 acres. Not a whole lot you can do with this either. And probably has some weird kind of zoning with it. I'll look at one more and then hopefully you've got the idea by now. This one I wasn't able to pull up. Check this one out. No, not this one either. Let's go look at this one. Yeah, this is another one of those sliver ones. So you just got to be really careful not to buy these properties because they're in the middle of nowhere or they're. Looks like this one even goes. I don't know what this is, a retention pond or a building, I don't know. But the first thing you basically look at is at this property card and then any kind of pictures if they're available. This is not a lot I would buy for obvious reasons. That one doesn't exist. Some of these have already paid off is what they told me. Yeah, we just looked at that already. Let's look at the next page, something new. Yeah, there's a lot of slivers here. There's another one that's an odd shape. Anyways, I hope you're getting the idea a little bit of what a worthless lot is and what you need to look at. So this is the first thing I look at is the picture. So I hope this was helpful. But the property card basically has a picture of the piece of land, and it's basically just a patch of land in the middle of the desert. I didn't see anywhere on that patch of land that's outlined by the GIS map, by the way, that there are any streets going to it, that there's any kind of vegetation even. It's really just desert. I didn't see anything that may look like utility poles or anything. Didn't see any buildings. There's just nothing. It's just desert. So I'm like, okay, well let's do this. Let's click the minus button and let's go out a little bit and see what's around it. So we click that a couple times and I see still nothing around it. Still nothing around it. Click several more times. We're literally in the middle of the desert. So yeah, you can buy really big pieces of land in the middle of the desert for a couple of $100s, but they're not really worth anything. Unless you want to live out there in the desert and put a trailer out there and start digging for water, there's nothing you can do with desert land. It's not going to ever be worth anything in your lifetime or your kid's lifetime probably. And so steer clear of those worthless lots. It's really, really easy to buy them if you wanted land in the United States and show that, hey, you know, here, look at my deed, I own property. But if it's worthless property, what you're really buying yourself is a liability, because once you own it, you owe taxes on that every single year, whether you can use it or not, and it's a waste of money because you're not getting any kind of return for it. And the only hope that you have with those properties is to basically sell them to the next dumb person, which hopefully you're not doing, or maybe you are doing, I don't know. You can donate them. You can get a tax write-off. You can find somebody to take them on a donation, or else you can just you know, pass them back where you got them from. And I explain all the different processes of how to get rid of a property to at least break even a little bit, or at least get some sort of tax advantage if you can't offset them. But of course the first purpose for you is to never buy them and to begin with. Of course, I can go into more detail about worthless lots that you can't do anything with, that are in residential areas or in occupied areas. For example, we all heard the story of the 10-foot by 100-foot lot. Can't really build anything on that. Or even kind of like weird shapes and slivers, or lots that have certain building restrictions or environmental issues. I mean, any of this will be sold at a tax sale. You have to be very careful and know how to research these things so you don't lose a lot of money on those deals. And of course, you always need to keep in mind that exit strategy. What can you do to get rid of a place? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't buy 10 or 100 lots and not know how to offset them pretty quickly after you buy them, or sell them, or do something with them anyways. That's like my very first lesson in all my audiobooks and my coaching consulting sessions. So it's these kinds of things I want to teach you with my time, with my consulting time, as well as my audiobooks, because that is the key to become successful. It's not always about how much money you make, but how much of that money do you actually get to keep over a long term during your investing endeavors. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure you subscribe right here. Contact me if you need individual coaching. My email is realestate@juliamspencer.com. I look forward to hear from you, and I hope to see you investing very successfully very soon. Have a great day.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.